back to my channel and welcome back to my face, because if you saw the end of the last video you will know I got myself some, well, I don't know if I told you this, but I got myself some antibiotics for sinusitis. Turns out I was not being a melt, I actually was ill. And welcome back to our 24 days of Tinseltown. In today's episode, I'm excited to share with you some design ideas that I've got for the entire island. I've actually sketched them out on my iPad. So I had a day where I was like, I can't do anything. I sat on the sofa, didn't want to play through too much of the game. So I actually started sketching out what I wanted to do. And I think it was a good idea to try and plan the island on paper ahead of time, because once I started terraforming, it made the whole thing a lot easier. So I'll put this up on screen for you now so that you can actually see it in detail. So on the right, you can see this is my island as I was given it by the game. And on the left, you can see my kind of sketch of what I want my island to look like. Now, I found this grid on Reddit. I will leave it linked for you below the Reddit post. I basically just downloaded it and put it into Sketch on my iPad. And I worked out just from the grid on the right hand side versus the grid on the left hand side kind of vaguely where things were, things like resident services, the mouths of the water, that kind of stuff, just so that I could kind of work around it, as well as those three houses at the bottom where they were plotted, because I planned to leave them where they were. Of course, before any of that could happen, I had to sit through KK's amazing concert. This is a lot. I remember playing the game for the first time and being like, oh, I've completed the game. 3 stars is all you can get. The credits roll. Like, this is it. This is the final scene of the game. Job done. I could not understand why people loved it so much, but thankfully that wasn't the end of the game. That was really just the beginning. And Tom Nook turned up the next day and allowed me to have the island designer, which meant that I could actually start terraforming, which I promptly did like a maniac. I think that terraforming and laying paths, is terraforming including the waterscaping? It's really the landscaping part. The waterscaping bit annoys me. It's not as enjoyable, although this was such a grind. There was so many cliffs that I had to knock down, so this was definitely something I was going to be doing off camera, because I needed to sit in front of the TV and watch Grey's Anatomy while I was doing this for hours. It took me forever to knock down all of the cliffs and then accidentally put them back up again. Anyway, I've completely flattened my island. I've laid paths to kind of outline what I wanted to do from the sketch that I'd originally done. I've even put down my rivers. I mean, you'll see, I'll show you at the end of the video kind of where we're at so far. If you are going to the trouble of flattening your island and completely redesigning it, I cannot tell you how much easier it was, even if you kind of just do a rough sketch. But it was pretty dead on because it was like on a grid. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, where I wanted to lay things out, but I started laying it out in paths. So you can see here, I've placed my museum up on this cliff. I've kind of pathed out the spaces for everything. I've pathed out where all of the homes are going to go, which I will show you in game. The whole thing was so much easier. And then, icing on the cake, Cephalabot, who I'm never going to be able to pronounce his name, it's just not in my brain, told me he wanted to leave the island. And I thought, yeah, that's probably a good choice. So I suppose I should probably take you back to the start and kind of give you a little idea of how everything is laid out. Let me take you to those 3 houses. They are right here. And we've now got, like I see, this is the river mouth that I drew in my little sketch. Here are the 3 houses. The houses and the buildings on the beach are all to be moved. They're just on the beach for now. And then what I've got is behind the houses, I plan to have kind of like, this is kind of going to be like a wharf, like a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a, kind of like a seaside town. There's a word for it. It's not coming to me, it will. Anyway, so we're going to be like there on the beach, but all of this pathway is going to be like wooden planks and stuff like that. Then if you go up here, this is all going to have like railing around it. This is like just a little water area. It's driving me crazy that I can't remember the name. Anyway, this is going to be Nook's Cranny. This is going to be Able Sisters. This is kind of like a little, let's call it for now, seaside town. And then back here I've got 3 more homes. This was tricky. Where to place the homes was really hard. But I decided to put the 3 more homes up there. And then back here, this is really the area that I've worked the most on so far. This, although this will be like bushes and stuff, so it'll be around here. Up here is where I've put the museum. So I'm gonna have a little fountain there. I'm gonna have a like an incline, some steps on either side, and then up there I've placed my museum. I kind of wanted it out of the way, but at the same time I wanted it to be some kind of like, is it weird to say I wanted it to be a central focus, but I wanted it out of the way? I didn't want it to be in our line of sight, so I wanted it to be up and high, but I also kind of wanted to make a thing of it. So yeah, that's what I've done. I'm gonna do some like gardens here, and then that's the museum area. And then here, my plan, this was because I was watching another video and someone did something really cool where they look like New York brownstones. So I've placed pathing here, which is like markers, just so I know the sizes for stairways. So it's going to be stairways leading up to actually nothing, but I'm going to try and make the area up there look like New York brownstones. We'll see whether or not I can actually achieve that, but that's the idea. Then over here is a large area. This is the area that I've mapped out for Mrs. Claus's home. So she's going to have like a large like area around her house. Obviously like lots of greenery and landscaping as well. And then next to her house, she's got a Christmas tree farm. And what I've done so far, I don't think this is going to be forever because I am going to want to use these trees across the island. But for now, the 17 trees that you need to keep, oh, let me get that leaf. 17 trees that you need to keep in order to get everything that you can get from the trees in a day. You know, like all of the, I can never do this. Oh, it's gone. You know, in order to get like all of the wasps, the coins, the furniture items, all that stuff. This is 17 trees. It perfectly fits 17 trees. I did that on purpose, can you believe? So for now, while I'm still trying to get as many items as possible and as much money as possible, I'm leaving 17 trees there. They still look cute, but I am going to want to use that kind of tree to decorate elsewhere on my island. This was where the museum left yesterday, so I still need to fill in this pathway. Down here, I'll show you on the other side, a little bit like the museum, I wanted to hide resident services away. So I've walled it off. It's still there, obviously, but it's not like in your line of sight as you're walking around. This little area down here, this is going to be like an elves workshop type theme. So I've got 4 homes here. I haven't decided who's going to live here yet, but this is kind of going to be like a toy shop type, like a North Pole village type vibe. So they're kind of going to be like working on toys and, you know, living a little elf life. Then I thought this pathway / road, depending on what kind of custom pathing I can find, is going to lead up here. This is going to be like a seaport, and this is going to be where the toys are delivered. So I've got like a truck area. This I put for the campsite. I don't know about the campsite yet. But I thought it kind of goes up here. Maybe we could have some kind of quality control for Mrs. Claus. But that's going directly from like the workshop area. And I thought maybe we'll fit that in some way with the little shop area as well. Because we are going to have some boats. Please, someone put me out of my misery. What is the word I'm looking for? Like a port town, I suppose. So I thought if I can find something that's kind of like a boat to be outside of here as well, it all kind of works in alignment with we're an island of industry. We're making things and we're getting them out to people. So let me just take you up here and show you what resident services looks like from the other side, what it will look like from both sides when I've got enough money to place both bridges. This is my plan. So we'll be able to go from one side to the other with those bridges. Is the idea. It wasn't quite what I imagined. I thought we were going to be able to put the bridge closer to resident services. So we'll see how it goes. I think I'm going to have to put something on top of these, maybe like bushes or something. And then on the areas around here, we're going to have some full trees. It's kind of going to disguise that a little bit. But yeah, that's the plan. Kind of resident services is there, but it's walled in. and not like a major feature. So let's revisit what the original island looked like and what it looked like in my rudimentary sketch. Now, wouldn't it be fantastic if it was just as easy as snapping my fingers and we could go from this to this? Wouldn't that be amazing? Not quite so easy. Hours and hours of terraforming off camera, but totally worth it and very rewarding. And oh my God, just the beginning. I do not particularly enjoy, or at least I don't love, doing the decorating, the like little mini bits of stuff. It's very tedious to me, but I'm trying to enjoy every element of this game, and the whole part of this, challenge-wise for me, is actually finishing the island, because I love the initial, like, knocking everything down, planning where everything's going to go, pathing. Love pathing. I don't know why, just laying paths. I love it. And actually like town planning. But this time around, I'm going to actually have to finish the island. So you can kind of see where I was going with the original sketch versus what I've got now. And I'm going to do an area at a time. So each video we're going to focus on either I'm going to do it on camera or I'm going to kind of tour the area that I've made off camera, and I'm going to do it that way. That's kind of how I've decided it's going to be the easiest for me to actually complete this island. I'm going to focus on one area at a time. We're going to start with the museum. I had to move that building first because it was actually on the island. Everything else now, as you can see, is on the beach or in the place it's going to be. So I have a few plans. First of all, I need to do a lot of work to actually earn some bells or earn something, because I need to build a lot of ramps, a lot of bridges, so many things. And obviously it's a lot of items that I'm going to need to procure. So a lot of work off camera, but I'm going to be back tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going to be able to show you at least a progress, if not the finished first element of the island. Hopefully this has been entertaining or useful for those of you maybe thinking of planning an island for yourself. I really found it really fun to do on paper. I know there are other designers out there that you can use, but I liked sketching it out. You could do it on grid paper. You don't have to have an iPad. But I found it a really good way of like visualizing where everything was going to be. And it was much easier when I came to Terraform. And I think I'm going to have a lot less mistakes of having to replace bridges, knock them down, and a lot less wasted bells, especially given the time crunch that I'm on. Like I said in the beginning, I've not been well at all, pretty much for the duration of filming this series so far. Thankfully, I am filming in advance, so hopefully by the time you're watching this, I'm perfectly healthy again, or as perfectly healthy as I've ever been. But thank you so much for sticking with me so far. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow. It's about to get interesting, and really, for me, the work is just beginning, because this is the time where every evening I'm like, grinded away trying to actually get all the bells, to buy all the items to finish this island before Christmas.